It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America and around the planet, we are Red Eye Radio. I'm Gary McNamara. He's Eric Harley.
Hello.
I'm just reading this article from USA Today.
Yeah.
And this all relates to the Lizzo fat shaming. And I don't mean fat shaming Lizzo. I mean Lizzo fat shaming her dancers. That was the allegation. And the whole Jordan Peterson thing the other day. This all relates. Korea's largest airline will soon be asking passengers how much they weigh. Now, everybody can still fly, but Korean Air will be measuring the weight of passengers along with their carry-on items for flight safety. Apparently, they want an exact measurement.
Yeah.
Airline employees will weigh passengers for domestic flights starting on August 28th. Korea Air will weigh passengers along with other airlines in Korea to provide data required to update its aircraft weight and balance management standards. They only are going to do it for a week. And then that average is what they will use in the future.
Okay. Everyone. No ice cream for a week.
Do that in the United States.
Oh, let's try that. Please, let's try that.
Just to see the reaction. From the left.
Let's please. You can't even get it done with luggage. What do you mean?
Yeah.
It'll fit. It'll fit. Are you calling my luggage fat? By the way, BBC News, thank you for listening. They just put out the headline, Trump's Georgia mugshot quickly becomes a campaign symbol. Told you.
Right. They're listening.
But,
all right, thanks for somebody who sent me the we're getting them now.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Trump mugshot, and there's like a McDonald's bag.
Yeah.
And it says, the look when you forget the special sauce.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. It's crazy. I can't imagine, but getting back to the airport thing, I can't imagine creating any other hurdles in an airport here in the States.
No.
Don't move anything. Don't. And if you're in group 4, wait for group 4, please. Don't get in with group 1.
You ever seen the Bill Burr one on that? Where it's like,
I think I have.
I was flying for years. I mean,
Yeah.
years I've been flying. Standing there, I put on the millions and millions of miles, and finally I get to the point where I can be in first class all the time, and 50 people still board before me.
Right. Yeah, right.
It's like, you're group 1, you board first. There's 50 people before me.
Right.
And I realize now, when I fly,
Mm-hmm.
just because of my ankle, and I have that, occasionally if it hurts, I'll limp a little bit.
Right.
I can do the wheelchair thing. I'm an old man.
You should try that. Yeah.
I'm an old man now. I forgot. Yeah. I keep forgetting. I think I'm young.
Someone made
I'm old. I can get all these extra benefits by line. by paying attention to my injuries. And
I think it was the guys on the Nate Bargatze podcast that suggested that instead of having an employee help those in a wheelchair get on the plane, have somebody else from Group 1 do that. Another passenger. How many would volunteer, right? That way an employee doesn't have to do that. Of course.
I believe there are probably liability problems
there.
Yeah,
there's a liability issue. Yeah.
Now
I'm really.
I'd be like Kramer. Remember when he got the used wheelchair for one woman?
Yeah.
It's like just Kramer would just let him down the jet bridge. Go.
Yeah. My wife and I were driving along a highway. I came to an intersection on a side road the other day, and there's a wheelchair, just an empty wheelchair just sitting there. It was middle of the afternoon. It's 105 degrees outside. She's like, should we look around? It's just an empty wheelchair. I said, we kind of made the block to see if there was any, but it was really kind of odd, just sitting there empty. But yeah, I'd say you try that getting on a plane. Yeah, my ankle hurts. Yeah, sure, okay. Someone actually wrote an article one time, and they said, "Okay, I have an illness, but it's not an illness really that you can see. It's a major neurological issue. And so I fit in that category, but I never get on in the pre-boarding process because people might look at me like I'm taking advantage of the system and just trying to get on early. Because if you look at me, I don't appear to have the condition that I have because it's not apparent to everybody. And I could see that logic. Okay, I'll just wait. I don't need to make any enemies. It's like I said, you don't want to move anything right now.
Yeah,
with
by
the
the
way
way,
flights are.
I'm exaggerating it. Whenever I fly, I'm as mellow as you can be. I really am. Nothing. I fly so much, nothing phases you anymore. It's like, oh, okay, 20 minutes more, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, the only thing that still gets to me, though, only one thing still gets to me, where they keep delaying the flight 10 minutes or 15 minutes 100 times.
Yeah. And by the fourth or fifth time, you're like, okay,
yeah,
we're in a pattern.
Why don't you just delay it for 2 hours? Let me go to the bar, sip my government daily weekly recommendation of 2 beers a week,
and
then come back and board the plane.
Right.
By the way, if you didn't hear about that, the Biden administration is thinking of coming out with new guidelines for drinking only 2 drinks a week. Now, Eric was very concerned whether he could bank those drinks.
Because I don't drink, but...
Right, and every 6 months he could have 50.
Can I just mark the calendar and each week that I don't drink, put 2 more in the bank? That way, I don't know, I get to 68. Go crazy. 1 weekend of nothing but drinking. Why is that old man so drunk? What's going on with him? Is he okay?
That's still the only thing that gets to me. I'd rather that they just say, all right, the plane's delayed an hour. Go find something to eat. Okay, I'll go back. It's
right.
But when you're sitting there every 15 minutes, it's like, okay, there it is. And then it goes past. And it's like 2 or 3 minutes past. And then before they even announce it, it appears on the screen. Another 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Then another 15 minutes. Then another 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And the thing is, too, I like when they just, you know what I like the most on an airplane? When they're honest with me. I know apparently the market research shows it doesn't work, that nobody wants honesty, but I want honesty.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know who they're talking to, what research they're doing that anybody would want to just keep delaying a flight 15 minutes and never tell you why.
Yeah.
I always like it when they say, all right, we're having a problem with the air conditioning on the plane. The mechanics have been called. So right now, I would rather they delay it 2 hours. I've had this happen just a couple times. Well, they'll delay it an hour, and after about a half hour, they go, okay, we're ready to board. Now, you got to make sure that everybody knows about it. You don't want to, because people may go away for a little bit, and they don't want that to happen because they want the plane to take off ASAP. But I would rather they do that. The plane's delayed 2 hours. Go eat. Go do whatever you want. And if it's only going to be an hour, then you get the notice. You're always paying attention to your phone anyway when you fly a lot.
Right. Yeah, sure.
That's interesting. What I find interesting is the people that still have the paper ballots, the paper tickets.
I always do.
Do you really?
I always print it off when I get there. Yep.
Oh, okay.
No, the app tells me, hey, you're ready to, load your boarding pass. I always print it off when I get there.
Is there a reason?
I almost always have checked luggage. And that process is all one fell swoop for me.
Oh, okay. See, I never check. So
Yeah.
Never.
I carry, if I'm not carrying equipment, I'm traveling,
Okay.
and my wife and I will use one check-on luggage
Okay.
together. So either way, almost every trip I check a bag.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't checked luggage in over 10 years.
Mhm.
And as I said, I used to drag my golf clubs everywhere, and it was like, nah. If I'm ever going to go out of town somewhere else where I'm going to golf, either somebody I know has extra golf clubs, or I'll call the golf course and rent them.
I take my podcast equipment in an impervious case,
Yeah.
and I have to check that
Yeah, check
because if you take it, it will fit in overhead. I could make it fit, but if I really am thinking and going for a long event, I have to take all the podcast equipment with me, and I have to put it in a bigger impervious case, and that one simply won't go through check-on. Everybody asks me, well, you're trusting them with your equipment. I don't have a choice, really. I have to ship that, and it has to be, it has to get there, and even some of the stuff that's more sensitive,
Well,
carrying it on, what do you have to do inevitably? You have to take it out. They're going to have to X-ray it. They got to X-ray it again. We're going to run. No.
Well,
I'll just check it.
everybody trusts when you check your baggage, you're trusting the airlines.
Well, no. I mean with equipment. It's different with like photographers and podcast equipment because everybody says the same thing to me. Anybody that does any audio production or
that they'll drop
video
in and
production,
ruin the equipment.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, you're trusting somebody else to carry that equipment. You quite often have to do that.
Yeah, I've seen it before where they've taken luggage and just drop it from 5 feet or so. You're looking out the plane window and you're like,
My case, you can drop it, you can throw it, and you're not going to hurt it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because of the way I packed it, I built it out.
Then trust isn't an issue.
No, it isn't. That's why everybody asks me, and I'm like, nope, here's why. I opened the case for it, and it's impervious all the way through. I built it that way.
Coming up, this is really interesting. Little lesson in economics. Biden's food stamp expansion linked to 15% jump in grocery prices. Now, that's 15% of the inflation that exists, not 15% total.
Right.
So we'll get to that coming up. 86690 Red Eye.
Fall is coming, but over the South and much of the nation's midsection this week, summer doesn't want to let go and is bringing record heat.
One of the challenges we face is the very low awareness about heat as a health risk.
Dr. Christy Ebi at the University of Washington says many of us hear the warnings, but we don't think it applies to us, of course. And she says among the most vulnerable to heat stroke are people over 60 years old, which includes a lot of farmers.
But unfortunately, a natural part of the aging process is people become less well able to tell they're getting into trouble with the heat.
Or less willing to admit it.
So even if they know that it's hot outside, they don't necessarily make changes in their behavior that would help prevent heat stress.
And heat stroke, which is often fatal. Officially, it's estimated that heat kills about 700 Americans every year. Dr. Ebi thinks the actual number is much higher, but that most deaths could be prevented with more efforts
to increase awareness of the health risks of heat.
This is Gary Crawford reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture.
This report is made possible by Cenex Roadmaster XL Premium Diesel and Citgo Lubricants.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90 Red Eye.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Carly, and I'm Gary McNamara. All right, a push by the Biden administration, Eric, to increase food stamp benefits to the tune of $1 trillion could be responsible for a 15% rise in prices at the grocery store, according to a government watchdog report. The Department of Agriculture rolled out revised nutritional standards for the SNAP program in 2021 that expanded the program by 27% on average from pre-COVID pandemic levels, the Foundation for Government Accountability found. Overall spending on the program more than doubled between 2019 and 2022, going from $4.5 billion in 2019 to $11 billion in 2022. A study released Thursday by the Governmental Accountability Group shows spending hit $8.6 billion in March of 2023, despite some emergency allotments having expired, and is expected to rise 5.8% over the next year. The expansion is projected to cost taxpayers more than $1 trillion over the next decade, according to the Congressional Budget Office. The increase in spending on food stamps has fueled a rise in grocery prices and has contributed to high inflation, the group says. The USDA cooked their books to hike food stamp benefits by 27%, the largest permanent increase in program history, and they bypassed Congress to do it, said Jonathan Ingram, Vice President of Policy and Research at the Foundation for Government Accountability, told Fox News it first reported the study. Data shows that the Biden administration's overreach led to massive spikes in grocery prices. They're feeding inflation, not stopping hunger. The study cited retail scanner data from the World Bank showing the Great Recession, that following the Great Recession of 2008 found that food prices go up 1% for each 12.5% hike per capita food stamp spending. Put another way, food prices increase by 1% for every 12.5% increase in food stamp spending. The prices of margarine and eggs increased by more than 50%, according to the Labor Department data reviewed by the group. The price of frozen vegetables rose 36%. The Foundation for Government Accountability also estimated that Congress could claw back more than $193 billion in taxpayer funds if lawmakers repealed Biden's food stamp expansion. Food stamp spending is likely to take center stage in Congress's expected battle over the reauthorization of the Farm Bill, which sets a range of spending from food benefits for urban populations to rural broadband. Republicans are pushing to rein in SNAP spending, while Democrats are wary, particularly after striking a deal with House Republicans to implement work requirements for some food stamp beneficiaries, a condition of raising the federal debt limit earlier this year. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Those numbers are like, whoa.
Well, it was bound to happen if you're going to expand the food program, if you're going to have that much expansion on spending, then you're going to affect food prices. But, you know, part of me is thinking now, okay, well, I mean, clearly a lot of this is done by design. The left is nothing if not chaotic in their agenda. And when it comes to government policy, the idea is to make it more expensive because you want people more reliant on the government. You want people, because we talk about the expanded child tax credit. And during that 6-month period, people were like, okay, this is great. And then as it was ending, nobody was screaming. And it ended in December, by the way, right after the last payment that they got was in December. And then a few months later, and people were saying, yeah, well, we know we can't keep this spending up because the polls showed that people knew that it was leading to higher inflation. But then a few months down the road, people were like, well, actually, we need more handouts again. And the polls shifted again. So it really is this cycle of, well, keep them needing more, not wanting more, keep them needing more from the government and keep doing this chaotic behavior.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Americans could be urged by officials to drink no more than 2 beers a week as part of a strict new alcohol guidelines here in the United States.
Happy Friday, everybody.
Biden's health czar told DailyMail.com that the USDA could revise its alcohol advice. What is it now?
9 drinks
Apparently,
a minute. Oh, no, that's the challenge. Never mind.
Apparently, nobody is paying attention to what the USDA has to say because I have no idea what the recommended weekly
Well, can you imagine?
input of alcohol.
You sit down at the bartender. What can I get you? I don't know. Hold on. What's the daily recommendation? Am I going beyond the daily recommendation?
Now, the daily health, the daily, excuse me, not the daily, the United States health czar, Dr. George Koob, admits enjoying a couple of glasses of Chardonnay a week. So he's at the limit.
He's quite, you could say he's pushing the limit.
Said that they are thinking of revising it because that's what Canada has done.
And we should do everything they're doing.
He said there are health benefits. I think people will start to reevaluate where we're at in the United States. Like I said, do you think anybody pays attention?
No.
Current U.S. recommendations say women can have up to 1 bottle of beer, small glass of wine, or a shot a day, while men can have 2. There,
2 shots a day?
We can have 2 shots a day.
Wait a minute. We've gone from 2 a week to 2 a day?
Well, no, that's the current recommendation.
Oh, that's the current recommendation.
Current recommendation.
Sorry.
Yes.
And I'm quite sober at the moment.
But those guidelines are up for review in 2024. By the way, the current recommendation is 20 bongs per week.
How many chewables?
Does anybody do bongs anymore? I mean,
I don't know.
Is everything edible?
It's probably vaping or edible, I'm guessing. Get Janet Yellen on the phone, would you?
She's somebody in government with real drug experience.
And she's all of a sudden we scan over to Janet Yellen. What's that ringing? What's that ringing? It's the phone, Mrs. Yellen. It's what? Make it stop. You can do that. You can pick it up and answer it.
The debate about whether alcohol is good in low amounts has been around for years, but increasingly studies show that even a small amount of alcohol can harm your health. Remember, weren't we told for years that, well, first off, I was told for years as a kid that by the time we got to year 2000, that was 23 years ago, that we'd be working 3-day work weeks. That never happened. But I remember you always heard that the French live longer because they drink wine with every meal.
Yeah.
Does that include breakfast? They don't drink wine for breakfast, do they? Or is it just like lunch and dinner? Mimosas.
No, I had a friend who lived part-time in France. He was actually British, but told me that it starts at 11 a.m., which is lunchtime, and they have a very long lunch. It's like 3 hours. So, yeah, you'll drink wine in the morning.
A major study from this June warned that drinking any amount of alcohol raised the risk of someone suffering 60 diseases, including 33 that had never been linked to booze before. Liver cirrhosis. Scarring caused by continuous long-term liver damage.
Right.
Strokes and cancer are already well-established risks of excess boozing. But the Oxford University-led study, which analyzes data from 500,000 men living in China, drew links to other conditions like gout and cataracts.
Okay.
Dr. Koob, who has 2 glasses of Chardonnay a week, I think he's lying, said that
How big are the glasses?
said that there is, quote, no benefit to drinking alcohol in terms of physical health.
All right.
He said most of the benefits people attribute to alcohol, we feel they really have more to do with what someone's eating rather than what somebody is drinking.
Yeah, exactly.
So it really has to do with the Mediterranean diet, socioeconomic status that makes you able to afford that kind of diet and make your own fresh food and so forth.
Okay. Yeah. I know. We edge closer and closer to the, see, this is why. Well, I don't know. My grandmother was dirt poor, lived through the Great Depression, and grew her own vegetables and ate a ton of vegetables. Of course, we can't have that anymore. I mean, I know things get expensive at the grocery store, but quite frankly, this approach that, only the rich can eat well, that's not true.
No, that is not true. It may be a convenience,
right?
People eat what they eat, and I would say that probably is more of it the convenience. What I want to know is specifics. They say that it's linked to 60 diseases.
Yeah.
So if I have a glass of wine a day, which is 5 ounces of wine, which is a glass of wine.
Mm-hmm. 5 ounces is a glass?
5 ounces is I guess, because when you see 5 ounces, you're like, that's a glass? Yeah, it's supposed to be the official glass. Well, no, I like it all the way up to the top of the huge wine goblet. No, that's about 4 glasses.
Well,
but the official glass wine would be about
my thinking is, where are all the tumblers? Why don't we have any clean tumblers in this house?
So if you have 5 ounces of wine a day, what would that increase? Because there are people that drink wine every day and believe it's helping them health-wise.
Yeah.
Because you've always heard that wine and, helps what with your blood, for example. I'm not really sure what it's supposed to do.
Good for the heart.
Good for the heart, right.
Good for this, good for that.
Is that all bogus? And why were those studies that indicated that early on, what did they miss?
Well, and, you look at it, alcohol is a carcinogen. The alcohol in it is a carcinogen. Right. Your body doesn't know how to process that. Now,
and it's technically, alcohol is a poison.
Yeah,
it's just
that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
it's just not real poisonous, but
your body can't process it. It has to get rid of it in a couple of different ways, but it can't process it.
Yeah, it turns into ether, and
all of a sudden you're going down the hallway or sweating it out. Likely going down the hallway. But here's the
or your liver's process.
Here's the problem. Yeah, but it doesn't truly process it. It eventually has to get rid of it. So here's the problem, is that you've got every back and forth mess. Nobody is paying attention to any recommendation. And also on their list here of 60 diseases, one of them is hiccups. So tell me where I'm wrong. No, I mean, you have to get into it because if there's one study that comes out and says, okay, peer-reviewed study, we believe this many drinks per day is linked to this, and this. Then we have to go back to a point that was brought up earlier in this same conversation and this is what I would ask the scientists, well, how many in those that were in the study that eventually had these diseases or this disease, whatever it is, also behaved in a different way because of the alcohol? How much of it was directly because of the alcohol, or was it overeating as a result of that behavior because they went to a fast food place late night or a restaurant or whatever, or in their living room?
Are more drinkers smokers?
Right. It will, there's no doubt, it will wreck your eating habits. If you're drinking to the point of being buzzed or drunk, you're likely going to have an issue with eating.
You know, well, and also I know sleeping. If and maybe it's because this shift just really messes you up. But if I had 2 glasses of wine, an hour or 2 hours before I went to sleep, I wouldn't sleep well.
That's actually been shown that it disturbs sleep. You might fall asleep, but then after an hour or two, your body is working, and it actually is shown to actually keep you awake.
And the other thing,
or disturb sleep,
and one wouldn't view it as a lot, but if I have 1 glass of wine, I would be fine. But if I have 2 glasses of wine, just 2, maybe it's age, but I wake up the next day, and it's not a hangover. It's just there's a part of my brain that just doesn't feel right.
Right.
It feels slow.
Yeah. No, your body.
And I hate that. And
because your body is healing.
I hate that feeling.
Your body is healing. You know,
from 2 glasses.
Yeah. For any amount of alcohol, your body can't digest alcohol, and so every major organ at some point is going to deal with it.
Well, it is digesting in a way; otherwise, it wouldn't become ether.
But it's not truly digest.
Well, it's doing. I don't know.
It's not like food. It knows what to do with food. It has to get rid of alcohol.
Oh, okay, all right, right. But I mean, there's byproducts. The digestive product, the process turns it into ether, which is what affects your brain. It's the ether that affects your brain. So, and then it goes through your liver, but it's not.
It has to get rid of it.
Right.
Yeah, and so at that point, your body is healing again, and you're in healing mode. That's what a hangover is. And the varying degrees of hangover.
Yeah, I guess I'm very super sensitive because it's like, oh man, I hate that feeling more than anything. I hate that feeling. I had any dullness like that when I wake up the next day, and I remember even when I was younger, and you'd sit there and you drink too much and have a hangover, and I would have have a guilt trip that because I'd sit around and do nothing all day. Man, I'd feel guilty not being productive. Even being younger, when you wouldn't think you would have those feelings, I would always say, man, I haven't been productive today at all.
Right.
And I'd have a guilt trip about it.
But a lot of people handle it well because they are dull people. I mean, if you're just like dim-witted, there's not a difference. In fact, there might be an improvement. Hangover might get you motivated to do something. Think clearly. I don't know, but most people do suffer to some extent. I'm speaking from experience.
Well,
I just realized something. Yeah. No,
I will say this, though, and this is without question, and it's absolute truth and fact.
Yeah.
Drinking will destroy your golf game.
You mean drinking the night before or drinking during the golf game?
I'll be out on the golf course and, guys, come on, have a beer. I go, no, I'll have one after. Can't now. It'll affect my golf game. The hand-eye coordination disappears if I had one. Now, probably if I had a full stomach, maybe not as much. But if you're out there and it's hot out and you drink the beer and it flows through real quick, you can actually feel it.
Right, yeah.
My golf game goes to hell.
Right.
And then I get all frustrated and enraged, and then I say, give me 10 more beers.
Exactly.
866-90-RED-EYE.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Man, the memes are already out there with the Trump picture.
Oh man, it is exactly what the left media and the left didn't want.
And all these people that are doing these funny memes, everyone that I see on social media is a conservative.
Oh no, they're
all Republicans.
It's all in support of Trump, and he himself tweeted it right away. His first tweet since January 8th of 2021. He's taking this and running with it like it's his new campaign poster.
I think I said it was early where CNN was like, uh-oh.
Yep.
We were anticipating this, and it may not be what we want.
It's not what you want if you're on the left.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.